Welcome. We are Aniek, Maria, Jacqueline, Eva and Tess, and our Sustainable Product Service System presentation will be about food services for elderly. We looked into different food services for elderly as the life expectancy is increasing, elderly are living longer at home and they are experiencing more difficulties in daily activities such as cooking. In order to choose the two case studies that we wanted to analyze further, we mapped out 17 different food services in two matrices. Both matrices have the vertical axis that shows the type of product service system: product, use or result oriented. The first matrix is based on the interaction level, as loneliness amongst elderly is a big challenge in the Western world. In the Netherlands, 63% of elderly above 85 experience loneliness. Therefore, the horizontal axis shows unpersonal versus meaningful interaction. The second matrix shows standardized options versus a personalized dish tailored to the wishes of the elderly. The premise here is that a lot of elderly require specific food, and having more choice gives elderly a sense of control and independency. When looking at the two matrices, it was chosen to use the cases of Tante Roosmarijn and Appetito. These two cases have been selected because they both are result-oriented but differ greatly on the horizontal axis, either having a high interaction level or a high personal choice level. So these are the two chosen cases. We will go further into depth on these cases in a bit. But first I will give an overview of the methods that we used for analyzing these two cases. On our mural board you can see the different tools that we used. We used the AAA business model canvas, a stakeholder map, the value mapping tool, the flow diagram and giga mapping. We will now explain the two cases with the giga map and go further into detail with the methods of the AAA business model and the value mapping tool. Tante Roosmarijn is a foundation with the aim of tackling the isolation of seniors in the Netherlands by means of eating meals together. They do this by letting hosts organize a home restaurant, where elderly and other guests are invited to eat together and enjoy a nice social evening. 50% of the time the host also cooks the meal, next to providing the dinner setting. But if this is not possible, a caterer or local cook provides the food, and often also sponsors the food. The elderly are transported to the home dinner if needed by board members or by family. Donors provide donations and are also often guests at the dinner. At the end of a dinner, Kokado provides the host with a coupon. The board of Tante Roosmarijn is responsible for the communication through, for example, social media. And there are no leftovers, as all the food is either eaten or taken home by the elderly.
When we look at the Giga Map, we see that Appetito offers multiple food-related services. Their main business is the delivery of meals, both frozen and hot, but they also deliver groceries, offer dietary advice, consultancy services in meal planning, and rent out cooking equipment. Appetito has a focus on the elderly, and therefore they offer specially pureed foods and meals with less sodium. When they order a meal, the elderly will always receive the meals from the same delivery person, so they see a familiar face. All delivery men have also had first aid training to give the customers an extra feeling of security. The company also targets their services on home care institutes, elderly and disabled institutes, childcare institutes, and also offer catering services to companies.
The economic canvas shows that the value proposition of Tante Roosmarijn is to tackle the isolation of seniors by means of cooking and eating together. Activities they do is acquiring the elderly, volunteers, hosts and cooks. They do this by marketing through different social media channels, their website and word of mouth. They partner with Kokado and mainly get their revenues from donations, sponsors and tickets bought by the guests. The main costs are for maintaining these communication channels and sometimes for the ingredients of the dish. The environmental canvas shows that the main functional value is one warm, freshly cooked meal. The main environmental impacts are the emissions of driving the elderly, the water usage and emissions by cooking. The benefits are that there is less food waste and not much extra waste, as no extra packaging or dining equipment is needed. The social canvas shows the benefits for the communities, connecting people and aiming for a society that supports each other and is there for each other. It also shows that the scale of outreach is not that big yet, only in the Netherlands and 12 events each year. The social impacts are that Tante Roosmarijn is run by volunteers that are not paid for their work, and customers can't choose their personal dishes. Benefits, however, are that volunteering and caring for each other is encouraged and elderly are included back into the society.
When we look at the first layer of the triple layer business model canvas, we see that Appetito has a lot of different activities resulting from the different services they offer to the elderly and the care institutes. The main value that they bring are the healthy meals that empower the elderly to live at home longer in a healthy manner. The main channels that they use are their website, their customer service call center, and the delivery people. When looking at the second layer, we see that Appetito has a lot of activities that have a negative impact on the environment in production, distribution, and the materials that are used. But we can also see that they actively try to minimize that negative impact by using green energy, less packaging, locally sourced ingredients, and trying to minimize their food waste and sending that waste to anaerobic digestion companies. When we look at the third layer, we see that Appetito is a privately owned profit corporation with over 9,400 employees. Their service increases the quality of life of the elderly and empowers them to live at home instead of having to move to the already crowded elderly homes. A negative impact that this could have is that the elderly could lose contact with their environment, which could lead to loneliness.
In the value map of Tante Rosemarijn, we can see that helping to combat loneliness amongst elderly is their core value. Tante Rosemarijn provides a lot of value already for the different stakeholders, such as nice social moments and attention for the elderly, but also a nice social evening for the hosts, guests, and the board members. They give partners, donors, and caterers the sense of doing something good for society. One of the main missed values is that the audience reached at the moment is small. Opportunities to enlarge this are to partner with local healthcare parties and to use the network of the hosts, donors, and Kokodo to reach a broader audience. Furthermore, there are value opportunities to create more lasting relationship both amongst the elderly and between Tante Rosemarijn and their caterers and suppliers. Better relationships with local suppliers that supply local and biological ingredients could also guarantee an environmental benefit.
From filling in the value mapping tool, we have learned that the main value that Appetito offers to their customers and to society is that they empower the elderly to stay home longer in a healthy manner, which means that less elderly need to go to an elderly institute and need less help from home care. But there are still opportunities for Appetito to offer more value, for example, by focusing on the social aspect of the service, by using sustainable packaging and optimizing transportation and distribution for energy use and greenhouse gas emission, and partnering with sustainable farmers. The pros of the triple layered business model are that it gives detailed insights into the different layers, it broadens perspective towards the 3 Ps, and it shows what information is still missing and what still needs to be researched. It's also a good way to show the company's focus. Do they focus on people, planet, or profit? But the cons are that it only shows the company at one point in time and does not include the context. Also, the tool is quite hard to use and a lot of information is needed to know what to fill in, and it's also hard to draw conclusions once the tool has been filled in. The pros of the value model are that it makes you look for opportunities in the future and it involves the different perspectives of different stakeholder groups. It's useful to develop or revise business models and it also focuses on context. But the cons are that value missed and value opportunities have a lot of overlap and a lot of knowledge about the company is required to actually gain value from this tool. When we compare the two business models on people aspect, we see that Tante Rosemarijn focuses on people. They do not want to make a profit, but they really want to tackle that loneliness among elderly. That they work on a small and local scale. Appetito, on the other hand, work on a bigger scale and reach more elderly, but in a less personal manner. They do empower the elderly to live at home longer and in a healthy manner. When we compare the two business models on a profit aspect, we see that Tante Rosemarijn does not work to make a profit, but to really bring value to the elderly. They have sponsors and ask for donations from the elderly. Appetito, on the other hand, is privately owned and does work for profit. It works on a big scale and even has multiple daughter companies. They make their profits from both business to business and business to customer services. When we compare the two business models on a planet aspect, we see that because Tante Rosemarijn works on a small scale, they also have a small impact, but they do not actively focus on the environment. Appetito, on the other hand, has a lot of activities that have a negative impact, but they do actively focus on decreasing that impact. Both companies therefore still have opportunities to become more sustainable.
Thank you for listening to our presentation. If you have questions, you can always email us. Bye!